I'm Jo Barclay-Logie and welcome to another bead weaving basic today. We're going to be looking at something to do with herringbone stitch. So far I have shown you how to do flat herringbone and there is a YouTube tutorial on that already. I've also shown you tubular herringbone. We made these cute little ombre stacker bracelets. So there's a video for that as well, and I will pop links to those two in the comments below. But today we're going to look at twisted tubular herringbone. So you get that lovely spiral effect there. And the one I'm actually going to show you is this one specifically. So we're going to do this pattern where we've got a double color, a single color, a double color, a single color, that sort of pattern in our twisted tubular herringbone. Before we get going, let's have a look at what we'll be using. So we've got the basics, a beading needle, and those of you who know me by now know that I tend to use a size 10 beading needle most of the time. Then you need your FireLine or your WildFire, your chosen thread. I am using WildFire today for a change in the dark black colour. That's mainly because the colour of the beads I'm using, most of them are dark. So by using a dark thread, my thread isn't going to be that noticeable in my beading. If I was using all light colours, I'd stick with the lighter beading thread. And you'll need a toggle clasp to complete your little bracelet. So this twisted tubular herringbone is another form of a beaded rope. I'm using 3 colours in size 8 seed beads, and I've labelled them A, B, C just to make it a bit easier when I'm doing the demo for you. A and C are new colours to me and I absolutely adore them. They are Toho beads. The greeny colour is a semi-glazed lemongrass and the blue is a semi-glazed navy blue. So those are Toho size 8 seed beads. And the middle is a Miyuki size 8 in Ivory Ceylon. With regards to the length of thread that you need to add onto your needle, work with a thread that you're comfortable using, or the length that you're comfortable using, because you don't want to tangle yourself up in knots. And even if you work with an exceptionally long piece of thread, the chances are you're going to need to be adding in thread as you go along. So I tend to work with a double wingspan of thread, and that probably got me 2/3 of the way through my project, and then I needed to add in some more thread. So we're going to start the same way as we started tubular herringbone, and that's with ladder stitch. A little cheat way to start so that you've got a bit more to hold on to in the beginning. And I'm going to start by picking up 4 of my colour A beads. Now this is to do the pattern that I had done, which was 2 doubles, 2 rows or 2 columns of one colour, then 1 of a single colour, then 2 rows of a double colour, and then 1 of a single colour again. So I'm just moving those 4 beads down towards the end of my thread, and I'm going to leave a 10 to 15 centimetre tail just so that I can add on one end of my clasp. And I'm going to pass the needle back up through the first 2 beads. And when I pull my needle through, you'll see that the second 2 sit alongside the first 2 in 2 columns. So I've got 2 columns of 2 beads there. Now I'm going to continue beading in this direction, so I need to get my needle into the right place. So before I pick up any more beads, I'm going to pass through the 2 on the end. And then I'm going to pick up my single colour, so 2 of my ivory. And I'm going back through the previous 2 beads from the opposite direction. As I said, we did do this same start in tubular herringbone, so if you want a more detailed description of what I'm doing, have a quick look back at the tubular herringbone. So again, I'm passing the needle back through the last 2 beads I've just added, and now I'm adding in my navy. So 2 navy. I'm just doing a very simple ladder stitch here. And it means that when I start showing you tubular twisted herringbone, or twisted tubular herringbone, I've got a little bit more to hold on to so it doesn't look as awkward, and hopefully you'll be able to see a bit more of what I'm doing. So I've picked up another 2 navies. So now I've got 5 columns of 2, 2 green, 1 cream, 2 navy, and I need 1 more of the cream, which I'm going to pop on the end here. As I said, you can always look back at regular tubular herringbone just to see the start of this in a bit more detail. So there are my 6 columns of 2 beads, and I'm just going to pass back down through these last 2 that I've added here. Now, the way I have added in those colours for ladder stitch is going to give me this pattern here. I'm just going to bring it back into shot. I showed you a couple of other bracelets before. If we look at this one, which is also 3 colours, this is how you would add in your ladder stitch of your beads. So there's no break, it's just 2 lots of green, 2 lots of cream, and 2 lots of navy. And then I showed you another one that was also 3 colours, but they were skinny stripes. So when you do your initial ladder stitch, that's how you're going to add in your colours, A, B, C, A, B, C. And you've got 6 in total. And I did show you one more. It was this one, which was just 2 colours. So if I was doing this and doing my 6 columns of ladder stitch, I would go A, B, A, B, A, B. So we're going to get going with our pattern, and to make a tube I need to connect the first 2 A's to the last 2 B's. So I'm just going to fold that over together, keeping my tail out the way, and my my thread is exiting the base of the cream seed beads. So I'm going to pass the needle up through the first 2 A's, the first 2 greens, and that'll connect them on the base. But they're not connected at the top, they still open at the top, so I'm going to come back down through those 2 cream beads. And because I want my tail and my working thread at opposite ends, I'm coming back up through those lovely lemongrass beads. And that is my 6 columns of ladder stitch joined together to form my initial little tube. And I'm going to start straight away with the twisted tubular herringbone. And as we often say in bead weaving, it's very repetitive, so once you get the pattern, you'll be away, and I'm certainly not going to sit here and show you how to bead the whole bracelet. I'll show you how to finish it off a bit later, but you'd get very bored watching me. So my thread, at the moment, my working thread, is exiting the lemongrass bead on the right-hand side. So each time I'm going to pick up 2 beads, and those 2 beads will sit above the previous 2. So it's going to be 2 lemongrass this time. And with twisted tubular herringbone, there's a little difference. We're now going to come down 2. So we're coming down both of those. Just get those sitting neatly on top of the previous ones. And we come up through 1. So I'm just coming up through 1 of the ivory beads. Now I need to pick up 2 beads again, but my next 2 aren't the same colours. I've got an ivory and I've got a navy. So these 2 I've just picked up are going to sit on top of those previous two, and I'm going to pass down through two, and I'm turning my work as I go, and I'm coming up through one, up through one of the navy ones. And I need to pick up two more. So I'm going to pick up a navy, one navy, and an ivory. And again, I'm coming down through two. I'm back to my A beads here, which is where I need to step up. So normally I would just go up one, which would be through that middle one there. But because I'm stepping up and continuing with my beading, I'm going up through two. I've completed the round, and I'm stepping up and coming up through two. Don't want to get my thread caught around that bottom bead there. So we've completed the third row. We've got 1, 2, 3 rows, and we're ready to start again. So exactly the same way, we pick up 2, come down through 2, and up through 1. Pick up the next 2, remembering to coordinate your colours so that you're picking up the correct colours to sit on top of the others. Come down through 2, and up through 1. And these are my last 2 that I'm picking up now to complete the round. Pick up 2, come down 2, and I'm back to my A's where I'm stepping up. So normally I would come up through 1, but stepping up, I'm coming up through 2 to start row or round number 5 all the way around. Now you can already see how if I pull my thread, how it's starting to pull the beads off at a diagonal, at an angle, and that's how we're going to get our twist. So the little mantra you need to remember is pick up 2 beads, picking up 2, down through 2, and up through 1. And you do that all the way around until you're doing your step up. So pick up 2, down 2, and up through 1. Pick up 2, down 2, and this is where I'm stepping up because I've completed the round, so I'm actually stepping up through 2. Now I'm going to pause the video for a while, and I'm going to bead a bit further so that I can then show you how the twist is happening. But it would be very boring if you sat watching me now. So I'll be back in a minute. Right, I haven't got much further, but I want to show you what's happening already. You can see how that twist is already forming there. So if I hold it up this way, you'll see how the 3 columns of 2 are separate at the top. And each time you complete a round, you're pulling those beads closer together. So I'm ready to start a new round. I'm picking up 2. I'm coming down through 2, and as I come up through 1, that cream and navy is very separate, but as I come up through the 1 ivory bead and I pull my thread through, it pulls that column to the green column. So I'm going to pick up a cream and a navy, come down through 2, and similarly here, when I come up through the navy, I'm going to pull the 2 navy beads together. And that's how you get your spiral. So it's exactly the same, 2 beads, down 2, and now I'm stepping up, so I'm coming up through 2 and pulling them together. So you would continue beading in this way for the length that you require, whether you're doing a beaded rope for a necklace or as a bracelet. Just remember to allow for the width of your clasp. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you how to finish off on the other end. So here we have a full length of twisted tubular herringbone. And if you remember, we started with 6 columns of 2 in ladder stitch on this side. And this side here is still pretty open because it's where I've been beading. So it's time to start bringing this together so that the 2 ends match. So I'm going to finish with a row of regular tubular herringbone. So I'm just going to come down 1. Just get them sitting properly. And come up 1. So I've changed now. I'm not doing the twisted. I'm just bringing them together. So still picking up 2 beads, but now this time just coming down 1 and coming up 1 on the other side. And the last 2 in this round, come down 1. Just get them sitting. It's amazing how sometimes they just sit beautifully and other times you've got to put them into place. And I'm coming straight across and I'm coming up 2. But you'll see your ends are still not completely together. So we're just going to go around now. We're not picking up any beads. I'm coming down those 2. I'm going to come up the 2 creams. And again, I'm making this into like a ladder stitch. Sorry, I've just got my thread is a little bit tangled. Pull my finger through it. There we go. So to connect those 2, I'm going to come back down through the 2 greens, and therefore the cream will be connected to the lemongrass at the top there. Back up through those 2 ivory beads and down through the navies, 2 of them. And again, I need these 2 navies to join together. So I'm going to come up through the 2 navy beads on the left, and I'm going to pass back down through the 2 navy beads on the right. Up through the 2 navies, and the only 2 that aren't connected now are there's a gap between the ivory and the original lemongrass. So I'm coming down through the 2 ivory, up through the 2 lemongrass, and down through the 2 ivory again. And now the top of my tube is connected just as the base was. But I need to be exiting at the top to add on my clasp. So I'm just coming up through the 2 lemongrass again. And I've chosen to use the navy beads to add on my clasp. There are many ways. You could add on like a 6mm pearl or gemstone at this end here to close that off completely. But I'm just going to show you with seed beads how to add on a clasp. So I'm going to pick up 5 of my navy blue, and I'm going to pass the needle through the loop of my toggle, and I would attach this exactly the same way on the other side. I'm going to come back down through 3 of those navy beads, and I'm going to pick up 2 more. So there were 5 going up. I've come back down through 3 and I've picked up 2, and I'm going to come down through the navy beads on the opposite side. So there, if I pull that thread tight, you can see how I've just added on one end of my clasp. Now the way you finish off your thread here would be the way if you were running out of thread halfway through your project and you needed to add in a new thread. So I'm going to just thread my needle down through a few of the beads. It's like I'm going to do a little maze of losing the thread. I'm going to bring the thread straight across now those navy blues, and I'm going to come up a couple. It doesn't matter how many. You don't have to count. There are no rules. But you basically want to lose your thread by coming down, go straight across, up, straight across, down. Just what I'm doing here now. So I'm going to take my thread straight across, and I'm going to just come down some more of those navy blue beads. Then I need to turn direction and go up, so I'm going straight across and I'm just going up a few. And you would add in a new thread exactly the same way, losing your thread in a little maze of up and down through one column. Just choose one column of beads. So I'm just coming down, and again I'm going to go up, and I'm not counting, I'm just where the needle exits a bead, that's where I'm coming out and changing direction. And down a few more, and you can do that as often as you see fit. And I'm going to just grab my thread zapper and zap off that bit of thread. Oops. And I did attach the other end of the clasp just before we started. So here we go with a finished twisted tubular herringbone bracelet. And as I said, you know, have fun with the way you add in your colours so that you can get thinner stripes or thicker stripes. Use 2 colours, use 3 colours. I'd love to see what you make, so you can join me on my Facebook page, Jo Barclay Logie Handmade Jewellery. Any questions at all, just leave them in the comments below and I will answer them as best as I can. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.